Did you know there's an unused space battle map in EA's Battlefront 2? Although Starfighter Assault only ever had 5 space maps across all eras, with the 6th and final one being in Kamino's atmosphere, in Mission 5 of the campaign, you fight against an invading Imperial Starfleet over Naboo. This is one of the best looking space battles in the entire game, but for whatever reason, it's only available in the campaign. Not sure why, since this could have been an easy prequel content drop, especially since we only ever got Ryloth from the Clone Wars. And comparing it to the original Naboo, I can only imagine how other planets would look if we also got them in the game. In fact, there's a lot of other cut content and secret details about space maps across the Battlefront franchise. The Republic and Separatist capital ships were the first to get a playable interior, followed by the sequel trilogy Star Cruisers in Supremacy. But although DICE could never finish the interior of the original trilogy's capital ships before the game's cancellation, you do actually visit both of them in the campaign. In fact, a lot of the segments in the story mode take place in the Rebel Mon Calamari Star Cruiser, with one of the objectives mirroring Supremacy, having the player fly in through the hangar to land and then blow up some life support systems to take down the cruiser. And although I love the original's hangars, seeing the interiors of these ships in the reboot is a nice insight to what they could have looked like with a larger map on Supremacy. There was a rumor that you could land on the Polis Massa asteroid in the space battle of the original Battlefront 2. Now, many players don't actually get a chance to see this map since it's only available in Galactic Conquest. Because of this, I had to take out my own capital ship's vital systems to prolong the match. Then, using the landing animation glitch, I managed to get out of the Star Cruiser far enough to reach past the hangar's ledge, and then just left the shuttle in landing mode. It took a while for the ship to get far enough since the landing animation's pretty slow, but eventually you do hit the bottom of the map, which sadly doesn't reach the asteroid. By switching seats of the gunship, you can see that we're still pretty close to the capital ships. Kinda disappointing that the rumor isn't true, but at least now you know. Starfighters in the reboot spawn mid-flight instead of taking off and flying out of the hangar like in the originals. Although this happens a few times in the reboot's campaign as a cutscene animation in the originals, this lets us do the landing glitch mentioned earlier where you constantly spam take off and land, which moves the ship slightly forward every time. Using this glitch, you can get on top of the capital ships of any faction and is by far one of the coolest glitches in the game. Plus, if you're patient enough, you can get on top of the bridge, which gives you an even cooler view of the map and a really fun free fall down to the ship's main body. So if you have 40 minutes to spare, give it a go. Some areas also let you jump on top of the frigates as well, though for the time it takes, it's not as cool. But this iconic glitch is now limited to the original versions of the game since they reduced the distance traveled in these animations for the newer versions of the Classic Collection, which takes way too long to just get out of the hangar as shown on screen. I tried both for 3 minutes straight, so clearly the original takes less time. You can also walk on the capital ships in the reboot of Battlefront 2. The easiest way to do this is by playing the Until Ashes campaign mission where Iden crash lands onto an Imperial Star Destroyer. This is by far the coolest battle scene in the entire game since you get to see this amazing ship from up close while also fighting against an army of stormtroopers. Looking off in the distance, you can also see a lot of other ships, including this Mon Calamari cruiser that actually fires and hits the Star Destroyer you're standing on. You can also see the shields reacting to incoming fire near the bridge, which is a nice detail. I so wish this was included in different areas of the game, like in the smaller game modes of Blast and HVV. But sadly, the only other way to walk on a Star Cruiser is through a glitch as seen on Vader Gamer's channel. In the third campaign mission, Dauntless, mentioned earlier, you can perform a series of glitches when boarding the Rebel cruiser that'll make your character float, allowing you to explore the outside. You can basically reach most points of interest around the map with this glitch, including the Star Destroyer all the way on the other side. The full tutorial video is in the description, but this glitch might not work on all platforms. Space battles in instant action include 3 different sizes. Kashyyyk, for example, is the small size with only 1 frigate and the capital ships being really close. Felucia being medium size with 2 frigates and the ships being decently far away. And Megiddo being the large size with 3 frigates flying around both capital ships. But if you play these maps in Galactic Conquest, one of the 3 map sizes are chosen randomly, so these aren't exactly set in place. In fact, the devs did this for all maps in Galactic Conquest to try making each battle feel slightly different, including planets like Coruscant, which in the campaign have the largest map size in the prequel era, which has 2 capital ships and 1 frigate for each side, as well as these droid command centers that you can't interact with. In fact, the beta version had a lot more capital ships on this map, which could mean this was intended to be the next size up for space battles, but it was ultimately never implemented in the game because of hardware limitations. The Imperial Star Destroyer is seen with 2 hangars in the loading screens of the originals, but as shown in Phantom's videos, this is actually an earlier version of the capital ship. Although the inside textures are generally a lot less detailed, some include these cool starfighter racks and docking platforms that were taken out later on. The original trilogy ships both had 2 different entrances and hangars, which were connected by the auto turret room in the center thanks to these very long hallways. The internal support systems were also visible in the hangars of the prequel ships in the earlier builds. Plus, the Rebels also had actual frigates alongside their transports, which to my knowledge were later replaced by the Tantive 4 ships instead. Playing the Fondor space battle, you can see the planet below the capital ship and its moon far off in the distance. But if you play the same map in the campaign mission, you'll notice that we're a lot closer to the moon and at a different rotation to the planet's surface. The fact that DICE even went through the effort to change the location of the space battle just goes to show how much detail they put in each map. Ryloth's space battle is one of the most unique, having the main objective centered around the Lucrehulk control ship, which has never been more detailed in any other game, including the central reactor that looks like it's from the second Death Star and the hangars that Anakin used in episode 1. The Republic Venator also jumps in from Lightspeed, which is so cool, and of course Ryloth looks pretty stunning. You can also see the CIS dreadnoughts off in the distance, but it's not as close as the Republic cruisers. This map makes me wonder what they could have done with other prequel space battles, especially with today's technology. You can actually fly into the Imperial Star Cruiser and shoot the internal systems from the inside. By going to the side of the ship opposite to the hangar, there's a barrier dead zone where blaster fire doesn't react to shields. This area lets you slip through the wall and fly inside the capital ship. Most of it is empty space, but you can actually shoot the internal systems and destroy them a lot faster using this method. You can also do this for the droid capital ship as well, between the bridge and the main hull, but you need invincibility to survive. Plus, this hangar floor doesn't actually have a reflection. As seen when we fly underneath, it instead duplicates and mirrors all the objects, which gives it this effect. So far, this hasn't been patched in the classic collections, but this could change. Some of the other planets only available in Galactic Conquest look really nice. You have a few ones that are kinda similar, but others really stand out, like Geonosis. The space aura surrounding the map also changes to match the same color, which gives each planet a unique feeling. Honestly wish the classic collections just gave us all maps in instant action like they did for HVV. But there's so much more hidden details scattered around other maps across the Battlefront franchise. Find out more in this video here.